Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. A few weeks ago, I was in Boston for the American Meteorological Society's annual meeting, and at their presidential forum there, the speaker was Gina McCarthy. Now, she is an amazing woman who served as the administrator for the EPA for several years under the Obama administration, and she is an expert on American environmental health and air quality. So all around, just amazing, and knows her stuff when it comes to climate change and the environment. She gave a fabulous speech, and if you'd like to watch the hour-long speech of hers plus the questions that happened afterward, I have a link down below to that full video. But if you don't have an hour of free time, you can just watch this highlight reel that I have put together of her speech. I won't bore you anymore, so let's get right into it. I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you in the next video.
And no one there called into question my sanity or my patriotism, which made it way more fun than congressional hearings. Because at those hearings, I would be browbeaten by folks who I bet watched Don Kent way back when, and likely watched Al Roker or Jim Cantore or Dylan Dreyer or Stephanie Abrams now, but somehow they just couldn't get their heads around the issue of climate change. Well, now they got to get their heads out of that and into the real world, and that's what today for me is all about. Not just a few of us, but all of us, and not just politicians and scientists, but normal human beings if you have ever met a normal human being. If we hope to retain, which are absolute human necessities that are at risk in a changing climate, our climate crisis, clean air and water, fertile land, and special places that we all cherish, our communities where we can feel safe and secure, with a roof over our head, with food on the table, protected from pollution and resilient in the face of storms, floods, droughts, and wildfires that challenge our health and our well-being, not to mention whole communities and whole island nations like the Maldives, and even continents like Australia that seem to be right now the picture of a hideous sci-fi inferno. So while we have done a hell of a job getting people's attention by covering hurricanes and tornadoes and floods and droughts and wildfires and other disasters, it is time. It's time to shift gears to start motivating people to act, not to have their heads in the sand. So in the 60s and 70s, as pollution worsened all across the country, so did the pressure that millions of people put on who were calling for change, who knew we were heading for a future that was disastrous. So Earth Day was born, and the US EPA was created by one of the greatest presidents in the history of the United States of America. And a Republican to boot, and you are right, it is funny, that was Richard Nixon. I was just kidding on the greatest part. So here you are, 50 years later, I am the head of the Natural Resources Defense Council, and you're not. And what do you think I am going to do today? Do you think I'm going to hide my head in the sand? Do you think I'm going to call it a day and give up on the future? No, I don't think so. Just because climate change is really, really hard, well, get over it. It's time to buckle up, folks, because we have a journey we have to take together.
Woo! Yeah.
So I know that EPA leadership today has an incredibly difficult road to hoe if they expect to roll back all those rules, because they gave people more ability to live healthier lives while our economy rebounded. And I know that NRD has sued EPA about 100 times since this administration came in, and they have a 90% success rate. Do you know why I'm at NRDC? That's why. And guess what? NRD is going to keep suing and going to keep winning if I have anything to say about it, and I do. Woo! When they fail to have have a plan that moves this country forward on issues that threaten our lives and our livelihood, and even worse, when they have a plan to turn the clock back. The people in this country don't just sit around on our couch, turn on Netflix, watch 7 years of Games of Thrones, and eat ice cream. I tried that. It's painful. No, we step up and we do something. So let's stop being angry and stop being anxious. Let's raise hope together. Let's be climate optimists. If you haven't already, please find ways to get engaged. We need your voices in the mix. We simply can't turn our backs on all those amazing young people who are demanding climate justice. They're afraid that they don't have a future. They're talking about not having children because they can't see a path forward for themselves. We need to stand with them and forge that path forward. I visit a lot of colleges these days, and I go because I'm tired of them being angry and anxious, and I want to turn it into hope and constructive action. That's what you can help to happen. Good things are happening in the real world. People care about clean air and clean water and safe places to live. They care and they need a stable climate. Democrats and Republicans. Hey, I worked for 6 governors. 5 of them were Republicans, and they were never thrilled about dirty air or water. Guess why? Their constituents didn't care for it. So let's get our heads out of partisan politics and let's work together. With the advent of market-winning renewable energy and energy efficiency programs, the clean energy train in this country and elsewhere has simply left the station, and it is not turning around, and it's not going to slow down. In fact, sometimes it speeds up at other levels of government, and there are clear and remarkable signs that our democracy is waking up. States and cities are stepping up and they're taking charge. They're designing and they're pushing solutions that work. In time, they will drive federal action, but certainly not now or in the imminent future. So we have to get over that. We have to look at the women and the scientists who marched today. Who ever thought I'd see scientists marching? The one sign said it has to be desperate when geeks are forced to march. We have Black Lives Matter, we have the Me Too movement, we have the Sunrise Movement, we have people, young, old, and old Irish women like me, getting fed up, and we are speaking up. And today I'm pleased to say that most people in the United States fully understand 3 things about climate change, and you're going to repeat them after me because we're all going to be on the same page as you head into this conference. Are you ready? Number 1, climate change is real.
Climate change is real.
Not good enough. Climate change is real.
Climate change is real.
Man-made emissions have caused it.
Man-made emissions have caused it.
That's why women need to rule the world. Look at the Democrats that are running for president. They're all trying to outdo one another to deliver the best climate plan. And I hope so, because my plan is to make sure that they feel the heat from the people in this country who care about their families and their children's future. So keep thinking, keep talking, and then do something. Climate change cannot be solved without you, without your knowledge, without your enthusiasm and your engagement. Just as these states and cities have pledged to be all in, you, I, all of us have to do the same. We don't need urban and rural communities that are in danger. We need them to be resilient in our changing climate. We need them to work together, and we need to rekindle our sense of community and our willingness to cut through partisan politics for the sake of ourselves, our families, our children. Isn't that what this conference is really now all about? Isn't it about you, scientists, researchers, analysts, broadcasters, bloggers, experts, whoever the hell you are out there? It's about you getting engaged, thinking about how to explain to people the difference between weather and climate. Because like it or not, you are trusted advisors. People do listen to you and will listen to you. You can help them understand climate, and you can explain to them that climate change is not a partisan political issue. It is pure and simply science. That's what it is. You can help push back when someone dismisses climate change by saying, oh, the climate is always changing. Oh, I hate that one. It just drives me crazy. You know I know that it's not about the fact that the climate is always changing. Duh, sure it is. But it's about the pace of the change that we see today and the way it's accelerating in an alarming way that we simply can't hold off adapting to try to ensure that we have a future on this planet. You can help one another connect the dots between research and how to make it personal and relevant in the real world, because your voice matters. How does walkable and bikeable communities and neighborhoods sound to you? Or more trees and green spaces, and cooling centers to protect our kids? Are these really bad things? Are these things we're going to reject? Does anybody dislike a tree? Or a playground? You know, we need to protect the elderly and the homeless from the heat stress we're already facing. And we need buildings that are efficient and resilient to climate impacts, that are located away from coastlines that will no longer be coastlines, and flood zones that are based on real data that exists today. Just think about this. Does anything I just say sound absolutely ridiculous or even that difficult to do if everybody said it ought to be done? Does it seem like it will save money or cost money? Is it really going to be a sacrifice to move those things forward, even if climate change wasn't a threat? We are talking about moving towards a better future. What in God's name are we really fighting about? So I am really not ready to stop fighting about climate change anytime soon. And I ask you to jump in as well, if you haven't already. Because the climate fight really isn't, as some people suggest, about the planet. Because the climate fight is really about us. It's about saving us. The planet could care less if we exist on it. We care. In fact, I am quite convinced that the planet probably thinks of human beings as the most annoying species ever. We keep changing everything like idiots. If the planet had a head, it would be scratching it. So if you are in the broadcast community and you decide to talk about climate change, then bless you. But why not show a picture of a kid with asthma rather than a glacier falling into the sea or a polar bear? All right, the NRDC logo is a polar bear, so you can actually use that every once in a while. You can help make climate change personal, real, understandable. You can make science work for all of us. Folks will speak up if you give them the knowledge and the information they need. They will challenge the status quo. They will help us rebuild our sense of community and keep our families safe in our ever-changing world. So let me end with a quote from my dad, since he's not here and he won't mind me updating his words to fit today's times. When I was a kid and complained about one thing or another, which admittedly happened quite a bit, my dad would listen for a while and then he'd put his hands up and he'd say something like, Gina, stop whining, pick up your big girl pants and do something. So that's what I'm telling you. Pick up your big girl pants, your big boy pants, or your gender neutral pants and go do something. Thanks very much.